right, well, let's get started. Since we're recording this, anyone who has just joined, thank you to everybody for being here. My name is Victoria Vitarelli. I'm the head of marketing at VideoElephant, and I am happy to introduce Ms. Carolina Jones, or Carol, as we all know her. She's our content strategy manager here at VideoElephant, and she is going to talk about a very hot topic right now, vertical video, and get into all of it. So we encourage questions. Hopefully, we have all the answers. We've got a lot of other people on in the background to help with support, and we're always here. So, with that, I'm going to sort of disappear in the background and let Carol take it away and get into the story of vertical video for this webinar. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Vicky. Yeah, so good morning, everyone, and good evening to some of us also who have joined. As Vicky said, my name is Carol. I'm the content strategy manager here at VideoElephant. I have a unique role where I work a lot with the customer success team, and then I also work with our content team who acquires content, brings it into the platform. We'll talk a lot about that and different aspects of the company, and then dive into vertical video, what it is, and kind of where we see it going, and how you can best use the content to fit what you're looking for and what your company is looking for in terms of strategy and maybe like goals for next year. Um, so a quick agenda. We're just going to go over, as I said, who we are as a company, what we do. There's obviously a lot of different things that we do outside of just content acquisition and content aggregation. We'll talk a bit about like market trends, what we see just across the network, what our customers are saying, different use cases, challenges that have kind of cropped up, different questions that I receive from customers, and then an FAQ and some strategies you can put into next steps for using vertical content. A quick review of just the customer success team. This is one of many arms of the company. I'm sure you've potentially chatted to one of us at some point, whether you're a current customer or a potential customer. So myself, content strategy manager. We also have Emma, who's our head of revenue ops, Johnny, who's the VP of customer success, and then Maria, who handles all the operations and also some revenue reporting as well. So this kind of makes up the customer success team. But again, this is like one of many branches, many arms of the company doing the day-to-day work of, content acquisition and everything else that our company does. So our platform, I mentioned it earlier, it is comprised of almost over 5 million brand safe videos at this point. We take in hundreds and hundreds of content provider content. At this point, we're bringing in about 5,000 new videos every single day across 30 categories, 20 languages. There's hundreds of hours of content. And again, it's brand safe short form content. I say short form loosely. We have clips ranging from 10 seconds to 15 minutes, just depending on what our customers are looking for. And just on the vertical span, we're adding new providers weekly at this point. I pulled this stat here, so it's over 200% additional vertical feeds just through July. So just from July into now end of September, it's been a massive increase and huge growth in the vertical space. Just to say on that too, we provide a large amount of exclusive content. So we work with a lot of different companies and the social teams from different brands that the content itself, they may not be distributing to any aggregates. It's only on their owned and operated platforms. So it's essentially exclusive, some of the content that we offer from these brands. So where does this video, all this work that we're doing, where does it go? We have about 5 different branches that I could say our content's being used for. So obviously, our massive video library, it's very diverse. And that starts in the distribution and licensing, content aggregation. That's really like our bread and butter. But then we also go into CTV, fast managed services, Plex, Amazon Fire TV, so many others. Then there's digital publishing, digital retail, ad spaces, and then our monetization efforts, which are kind of new, but it's really growing as far as, getting content out into like the ad space. And we're working with many different companies to kind of further this up. So why vertical video, you say? Well, really, this is our most in demand content category across so many different ranges of publishers, different brands. Um, it really is like the main thing that we're getting requests for. Obviously, mobile traffic has consistently outpaced desktop in the last few years. Users are increasingly consuming content on the go. So, mobile first platforms, apps, TikTok, Instagram Reels, that's really where users are moving towards, and less so on the desktop space. It still has its space, obviously, for, larger screens, deeper engagement, but we're really seeing that trend toward users being mobile first. That's where people are getting their news, the entertainment, sport highlights, memes. That really is where the culture is. And so some of these bigger brands we're seeing lead the way. Obviously, the results are speaking for themselves. We're seeing across our network, and even new customers coming into the space requesting this type of aspect ratio, this type of content. And we're seeing through this higher completion, higher engagement rates. Audiences are growing because of repeated visits. Um, Outside of our space, we're seeing bigger brands launching mobile first campaigns. MSN is one of many aggregators that they're really in search and kind of honing in on vertical first creators. And so obviously we have to keep up with the demand, and so do others. We have to keep up with this pace. Um, so just going through here, obviously, as I've mentioned, we work with many different customers and we sort of get the same kind of questions. So one being, we don't have the resources to create vertical clips. Like we don't have a producer team, or our team's tied up with other projects, or, video licenses are quite expensive and don't have, that type of budget to be putting toward creating new clips. And to that, I say, this video is already available in our platform. Um, Many of these larger publisher brands are already creating content from their shorter clips, and I have an example here in a slide or two. But it really is already available to you. So it's just a matter of figuring out a solution on how to take it in. But once you do, you basically have access to a massive amount of vertical content. The next question I hear a lot is, well, we don't know what's going to perform well. We don't want to spend the time to kind of hone in on what we will, like what will perform well. And to that, I say, we work with so many different publishers, different customers doing a huge variety of things. It really is just a matter of kind of figuring out your goals, and we can use our expertise and performance that we see to kind of give you that sort of expertise and knowledge of what we think will perform well. And then finally, it won't fit our workflow. It's too complicated to bring this in. We have quite a few different delivery options. And even if, there's not a super straightforward way, there's always a way that we can help support you and get this content to you. It's just a matter of chatting to us and we figure out, the pitfalls, and we will fill that in for you. So some frequently asked questions. Is the offering of vertical content different than what's available in a landscape format? Meaning, is the video different that we're already receiving? And to that, it's kind of a bit of both. I will say, like this example here is about the Ben and Jerry's guys who, create the famous ice cream. Um, a lot of these brands will use video from their main landscape video and clip it into a shorter vertical format. Other times we see, completely different videos or ones that only their social team are creating for YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. So it is kind of a mix of both, but it's interesting to see that the production style is a bit different and that it is more geared toward social format and social production and what those types of users are looking for. So like text on screen, a personality kind of explaining the news, that kind of thing. Second question I get a lot is, how do I monetize with vertical content? Um, if you have uh, access to one of the larger video players, there's a lot of different placement and availability with actual vertical players. So that is typically an option with a lot of the video players in the space. If not, this is again something that we also work in. We work in monetization. So it's definitely something we can help you with, and we have a team to help you do this. And then number three, and probably the most common question. Okay, you heard all of this. So how do I immediately begin using the vertical content? Quite simple. If you have access to the platform now, you can go in, sign in to your account, and under the content provider dropdown, just literally search vertical, and it'll give you a huge dropdown of all the vertical feeds that are in the vertical format. You can also just search plainly in the platform with the term vertical, and every single video that is offered now has that tag. So you can use that in your CMS and filter that way to find all the video you're looking for. And lastly, so how to get started. These are just like my key tips to start if you're interested in bringing on vertical content soon. Align the content that you're looking for with your editorial voice. If you're only interested in celebrity news, start with celebrity news. Say you like a specific brand, find it in the vertical format that we currently offer. Many of our larger brands that we have in here offer vertical as well. So I say just start there. Start with your what I'm calling a pilot program and begin testing with those specific clips. Once you see how that performs, then scale it. Okay, you like this certain celebrity feed. Let's bring in more celebrity news in the vertical format and sort of optimize how you're seeing those perform. And then as, time goes on, we start to see performance and different analytics. We can help support you in this exact sort of path and add more as you see it start to perform. So yeah, that's about it. If anything's sparked your curiosity, you like more details, feel free to email us. All the four key members there will get emails to this contact email. And yeah, that really is about it. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but feel free to put them here in the chat and I'll get to them.
Yeah. Hey, Carol, that was great. Thank you. I just wanted to, I have a couple of questions that came in like privately to
Sure.
me directly, but also anybody on the call, I encourage you to use the webinar chat to ask questions, but I'm just going to read to you something that came in here. Here, are you seeing any, or specifically, what kinds of vertical video content tend to drive the most engagement across platforms? Any anything to add there?
Yeah, so I mean, it really does depend on what kind of publisher or customer you are, really what sort of audience you have. I will say UGC kind of always performs across if you're a news publisher, if you're like an ad or like out of home company, it really just kind of always performs well. People love to see like viral videos. Even like a part one or a part two of clips do quite well. So it's like stay tuned to see the next bit, that keeps people engaged and also, they want to tune in to see the next piece that's coming in. And you end up doubling the viewership and as well as the engagement. Also just keeping up on trends. Google Trends is always a great place to see what's going on in the space across, like really every sort of search engine. And even like if you're going more into like a TikTok strategy, trending audio is also a really good tip, just to see like what kind of audio music embeds do well, and using that helps your searchability as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love Google Trends, by the way. If anyone doesn't get that email, it's so good. Usually by the time it's in there, some of the trends are already like turning the corner, but I've learned a lot of different things over it's fun. It's just a fun thing to read. So I encourage anybody to get that if they don't already. Another question that came in, um, what are some of the best practices creators should keep in mind when adapting existing content into vertical format? I know you touched on that a little bit before, but another question came in on that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say relevancy is really just the key bit. I mean, making sure that the key message is getting in there. So if you're using a landscape original story that you've creating really for desktop, it's 3 minutes long, let's say, and it's a story about just Hurricane Katrina, and it's a wonderful, heartfelt story. Making sure that the key message is still being kept in this shortened version. Obviously, the vertical format, you're going to want a shorter duration, but just making sure that you're keeping like the key pieces of the story in there, that it doesn't sound like it's being cut off, that it's, fully encompassing,
Mhm.
and also that it encapsulates the full story. Also, additional thing is text overlay is also really great. You'll notice a lot of mobile content is being watched in like a sound off environment. So adding like a text overlay, a text on screen type of visual also helps with engagement and also fully, covering the story. That, audio words may not fully cover it, but you can add additional text to kind of cover off the entire story, if you will.
Mm, that makes sense. Great. Here, one other question. What makes vertical video especially appealing to brands and publishers right now compared to the more traditional formats?
Yeah, so I mean, higher engagement rates, everyone's trying to figure out what is the best approach, and also keep cost savings, effective. So I would just say like, use the existing video that you have. If you're paying for a video vendor license, from any source, I'll just give an example like AFP or Storyful, you can utilize that same clip into many different ways. You don't need to just use that one video one time. You can cut it down and use either separate pieces or make different versions of it and kind of utilize that same sort of piece of video in many different ways. And it's also a good way to experiment and see what does well with your audience, almost like a A/B testing, but use the same thing and kind of see what your audience does with it.
Got it. And I'm just checking the chat if there's any other questions. Oh, there's one more here. What role, it's an AI question, of course. What role do you see AI and automation playing in scaling vertical content in the near future?
I
Small
mean,
question.
yeah, we're already seeing AI being used for so many different things. I think it'll more trend to, I hope it'll trend at least to the editing process. I hope it doesn't go toward writing the whole video because that kind of takes away from like journalistic integrity. But at least from like in the editing process, I hope that it helps in terms of like cropping the video. Like maybe you're using a video for like broadcast TV and cropping it into like a vertical format. Again, using the same video that you may have already paid for, using it in a different format, but also like keeping that same sort of engaging information all into one. And then also, there's different ways where you can even like translate content now or translate someone who's speaking into like many different languages. while that's a bit scary, I do see like I think it will be beneficial at some point. So that will be potentially something else, as well as, captions and transcripts and all of that.
Okay, we have two questions in here. There is always a cost with creating content, and especially with short form vertical content. Revenue has always been a challenge. What is VideoElephant doing to address this to entice creators to lean more heavily into creating it?
That's a really good question. I would say like we're really becoming like the one-stop shop for vertical content, and we actually have heard this from a lot of our customers that are like, you guys seem to have everybody that we're looking for. So it really is kind of we have it all, so why look elsewhere? And I don't mean to, sound like I have a big head, but that really is something that we have heard. I think it's great that, we kind of make it easy for customers to use. Um, as far as enticing creators to lean more heavily into creating it, I mean, it really is something that they're kind of already doing anyway. So they may already be creating content for YouTube, and then they're adding shorts as a way to boost engagement on their YouTube. They're already creating the content, so they might as well make money off it and kind of give it to other places that they may not normally have access to distribute in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. And just making the creators aware that this is a way to get additional distribution off social that you may not have been aware of. Like a lot of people are like, I've heard about you, like tell me. So,
Yeah.
we're working hard on getting that information out to creators through our networks, through all the things that we do. I can speak from a marketing standpoint, and our whole content acquisition team as well. Um, no, we're hitting up against time, but there's one more question here. Are you seeing higher demand for short form versus long form from vertical content? Example, TikTok and YouTube Shorts versus, say, Snapchat stories.
I would definitely say we're in the span of like, it depends. I've seen requests for 30-second clips where if there's the strategy is they want to put a bunch of ads against it, shorter 30-second clips is great. If we're looking for people to stay on the page, like a minute, 10, 20 seconds is probably best. So it really just sort of depends. I will say a minute is always going to be like the sweet spot. And I know that's a bit difficult because in terms of like TikTok, they have their own limit where, their creators profit and make revenue after a certain amount. So it's just kind of, I guess, figuring out that sweet spot for what you're doing. But I would say a minute and a half is probably the best bet
Yeah.
for vertical clips.
Yeah, and I would say most of our demand is like just short form versus long form, short form. So
Yeah.
again, everyone has their definition, but it's always, like you said, that sweet spot around a minute or less. And it's really because they want the content to be sort of snackable, which is my favorite overused word, but it's a good word to describe it, and easily consumed, right? Like easy, you get it, you get your dopamine hit or your information and you're on to the next, right? And that's what we're seeing, for sure out there. Um, I know we're hitting up against time, but I just want to check if there's anything else in here. It's a good questions. Um, Great. I'm not seeing anything else. Well, Carol, this was informative. Good questions. I think anyone on the call, if you have more questions, you know where to find us. As we mentioned earlier, we've recorded this. We will be sending it out, and we will be continuing this conversation on vertical. You'll be hearing a lot more from us on it because it is um, so important. So thank you, Carol, for sharing all this great information.
Thanks, Vicky. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Bye.